During a live chat with famous movie actor Jason Smith, my 3-year-old son Liam unexpectedly barged into the room. I chuckled nervously and explained that he was a relative's child. However, he pointed at the screen and asked, "Mommy, are you video chatting with Daddy?" The internet exploded. When Liam barged into the room, I was truly startled for a moment. After all, I was in the middle of a live stream. There were over 10 million viewers online, all here for me and Jason. I didn't even want to imagine what kind of sensation it would cause if Liam suddenly appeared in front of the camera. Because I had always been single and unmarried. Quietly, I moved the camera while making a sign for Liam to stay quiet. I then interacted with Jason. "We have a lot of delicious food here. If you get the opportunity, Mr. Smith, you must come and taste it." Jason, on the other end of the camera, dressed in a simple white shirt, exuded an extraordinary and enduring charm. He smiled faintly. "If I get the chance, I will definitely come." The bullet screen comments went crazy because of this sentence. "Ah, he agreed. He loves her." I'm sobbing. Isn't this mutual pursuit? Their relationship is so good, both on and off the set. Who dares to say that the Spring Wind CP is fake? I never expected that. After so long since Drunken Spring Breeze aired, I can still get the sweetness of the Spring Wind CP. Sweet, give me more. Reaching out. I was about to respond to Jason's words when my smile unconsciously stiffened. For no other reason, Liam was shaking my leg, wanting to nestle into my lap like usual. In haste, I held down his little head. I told him with my eyes that this time was not an option. But unfortunately, he didn't understand. Liam simply did not understand what gestures meant. He was shaking my leg while making a sound. Jason heard the noise and asked curiously, "What's that sound?" "Sounds like a kitten purring." "A child, maybe?" "The sound is quite similar to my son's." "How could there possibly be a child in Ella's house? Isn't she single and unmarried?" I was just about to defend myself when Liam took advantage of my distraction and skillfully climbed into my arms, finding the most comfortable position to settle in as usual. The camera focused on his watermelon-sized head, revealing his large eyes that looked like black grapes. The comments were blowing up. "Oh my God, it's really a child. Now that's a bombshell. Ella has a son that big? Straight up. This kid is so good-looking." It may not necessarily be Ella's child, right? What if it's a relative's child visiting for the holidays? My eyes caught the comment about a relative, and I swiftly regained my thoughts, clumsily stating, "Indeed, it's a relative's child." Jason praised, "So adorable." Attracted by the sound, Liam turned to look at the screen. On the screen, Jason's handsome features were clear, and his smile was warm. The very next moment, Liam turned his head and looked at me with his innocent wide eyes. "Mom, are you video calling Dad?" There was a moment of silence in the barrage, and then all hell broke loose. "Oh my God! Oh my God! Oh my God! Did the kid just call them Mom and Dad? If I'm not mistaken, is this the child of Ella and Jason? Heavens, I thought they were dating in secret. Turns out they were having a baby in secret. Shocking. My ship has sailed." "Little one, say a few more words. We love to hear." I hurriedly shut off the live feed. But clearly it was too late. The word had gotten out. The trends that night were booming. Hashtag Mom, are you video calling Dad? Hashtag Ella and Jason's secret marriage and child. Hashtag Drunken Spring Breeze. Hashtag Ella face slapping. Hashtag Jason praises his own son as adorable. All in all the terms related to the live broadcast that could trend on the hot list were there. The internet users were gleefully following along. After digging through the live broadcast, they started digging through the past between me and Jason, searching for traces of our secret marriage and child. But what traces could there be? Had it not been for that accidental incident, we wouldn't even have a child. I held the soft shoulders of Liam and squatted down to ask him, "Baby, how do you know he is your dad?" Liam, evidently understanding that he'd caused some mishap, tugged at his fingers, innocent-faced. "You said it." "I asked you, who is my dad?" His voice naive and puzzling. You pointed at the person on the telly and said, "That's my dad." I truly did not see this coming. Liam, who usually seems quite slow, has surprisingly good memory at the most critical moments. That was when I was showing him some enlightening cartoons. All the characters in the cartoons have fathers, but he doesn't, so he chases me around asking where his father is. He's asked so many times that I'm really annoyed. One day, a live interview with Jason was playing on TV. Out of desperation, I pointed at him on the screen and said to him, "Look, this is your father." He leaned in, his little face looking up at the screen with longing, saying, "So this is my father." I sighed, not knowing how to deal with the situation. Before giving birth, I was a clueless mess, and no one cared when a mess like me had a child. But a few years have passed, and I am now a well-known actress in the entertainment industry. A single, unmarried actress having a child is altogether breaking news, no matter when it happens. Even though the studio had been prepared for the PR on this matter, now that it involves Jason, the top actor, the past preparation seemed like a pile of wasted paper. I was about to contact the studio when Jason sent another message. In fact, he had sent many messages since the live broadcast ended. I just hadn't responded. "Jason, is he our son, right?" "Jason, I am a dad. This is my son." "Jason, how old is your son now?" "Jason, wait, calculating the time, he must be 3. "Jason, he called me dad. My son called me dad." "Jason, Ella, you've kept it a secret from me for so long." "Jason, I am a father. I am a dad." I pressed my temple, my head aching. I had decided not to tell him when the child was born, and there was no way I'd reveal it to him now. So I replied, "He's not your son." Jason, too stunned to believe, kept repeating, "But he called me dad." Signs. "He's calling anyone dad. Don't take it to heart." Jason asked, puzzled, "Would he really call anyone dad?" To dispel Jason's thoughts, I had no choice but to make up something about Liam. "Yes, he calls everyone he sees dad." The doorbell rang at that moment. Liam scampered off to answer the door. I thought it was the agent knocking to discuss a strategy, so I didn't pay it any mind, continuing to persuade the stubborn Jason. "I'm very sorry to have troubled you. If you have any requests, feel free to mention them, and I'll do my best to cooperate." Before I had a chance to send the message, I heard Liam, who was opening the door, yell, "Daddy!" There stood a weary Jason outside the door. He was still wearing the same white shirt from last night's live broadcast, his face marked with the unique fatigue of a long journey, and his hair was also a mess. Even so, that face of his remained incredibly handsome. He squatted down, lifting Liam from the ground, his gaze fixed on me unwaveringly. I remained silent, staring at the two faces, one big and one small. I finally realized how immensely I had messed up. Because there is absolutely no way to hide it. Liam and Jason, they're the spitting image of each other. Anyone who looks at them would see a father and a son. There was absolutely no room for argument. Jason, holding Liam, approached me. Instinctively, I took a step back. He stopped, a hint of guilt entwined in his voice. "I know I'm being presumptuous, but I couldn't help myself." He whispered, "This is our child, isn't it?" Two faces so strikingly alike, any denial would be futile. After much internal struggle, I finally admitted, "Yes, he's yours." A touch of a smile formed on Jason's lips. He gently bestowed a kiss on Liam's forehead and said to me, "Thank you for bearing our child. You've worked hard." I quickly clarified, "Whether or not I had the child has nothing to do with you." "I'm aware," he responded, "but I'm delighted nonetheless." From the moment the truth was revealed, Jason never stopped expressing his thrill and excitement. But why? With his identity, his status in the entertainment industry, I thought he would see this affair as an unwarranted calamity. Suddenly tangled in such an issue, involuntarily caught up in rumors of secret marriage and hidden parenthood. Shouldn't he be angry? Confused, I asked, "Aren't you mad at me?" "Why would I be mad at you?" he insisted. "On the contrary, I ought to thank you." A potential implication fleetingly crossed my mind. Feeling threatened, I argued firmly. There's no way I'm giving you Liam. Jason suddenly laughed, his laughter full and hearty. I didn't come to fight for Liam, he said gently, looking at me. Liam has always been yours, don't worry. But why would that be? Perhaps noticing my confusion, Jason explained. Just think of me as delighted to be a father. With that, Jason started playing with Liam, lifting him high in the air. Both Jason and Liam laughed freely. In this strangely harmonious atmosphere, the doorbell rang again. I couldn't dare let Liam answer the door again for fear that he would bring me another father, so I took matters into my own hands and welcomed my manager, Stella Nicholas. Stella looked worried. Jason said I can decide everything. They'll cooperate fully. But what can I— Her voice trailed off. Her eyes wide with shock, she stared at Jason and Liam playing happily in the living room. Am I seeing things? Jason turned back, his smile amiable. My agent is just downstairs. If you don't mind, can I invite him up to discuss? Jason's manager, Mike Duncan, quickly came upstairs. Hence, my home became a temporary meeting place where both Stella and Mike discussed strategies about the recent trending topics. Unexpectedly, Jason's team was quite accommodating. Even though they were the victims of this incident, they lowered their stance to the dust, agreeing with whatever Stella said. Finally, Stella decided, let's just publicly announce the hidden marriage and child. I panicked and objected. How did it become a hidden marriage and child? Announcing an out-of-wedlock child doesn't sound good, she replied. But I haven't married him. Pretend to be married, the kind without a license, Stella suggested. Then pretend to get a divorce after some time. Nothing will be delayed. Isn't there any other way? I blurted out with my concerns. Like Liam misspoke. He recognized the wrong person or something. There must be other ways, right? After the repeat of drunk in spring, the popularity of you and Jason as a couple has always been high, Stella advised me. This is the most effective way. I understood. This was effectively stirring up couple hype. Except while others hype about ambiguous relationships, Jason and I headed directly for marriage and parenting. Seeing there was no way around this situation, I turned to Jason and said, Are you really sure about this? Getting married to me, then divorcing me out of nowhere? Was he really not bothered by it? Jason was more crazy than I had initially thought. He replied, I'm more than willing. After finalizing the matter, Stella handed over the phone with the written public announcement to me and Jason. Once this Instagram microblog post goes live, you two will be a married couple of several years. I don't care how you get along privately, but when you're in public, you need to cooperate with each other. Understand? An inexplicable sense of nervousness surged within me. I subtly glanced at Jason, only to find his gaze particularly firm. He nodded, and I followed suit. Mike said, Post it when you've thought it through. After the public Instagram post went out, Jason and I dominated the top 10 hot search list once again. The phones of Stella and Mike wouldn't stop ringing. Too rushed to even say hello. Both agents hurriedly left the venue to deal with urgent matters, just like when they first arrived. The spacious living room was once again left with just me, Jason, and Liam. The awkwardness returned. However, Jason and Liam seemed oblivious to it, as one was clinging to be hugged by the other, forming a harmonious scene. Amidst the chatter and laughter, I asked, Do you have a place to stay tonight? Jason paused and said, No. I can book a hotel for you now, I offered, pulling out my phone. He then corrected himself. Don't book just yet. I think I might have a permanent hotel room here. I'll check with Mike later. I nodded awkwardly. You tactfully said, I'll leave after playing with Liam a little longer. Not long after, Liam tired out and started dozing off in Jason's arms. I advised, maybe lay him on the sofa? It's all right, Jason insisted. I can hold him. At that moment, the reality that Jason was the father of Liam sank in. It was a peculiar feeling. After all, I never thought we'd cross paths again because of Liam. Jason suddenly looked up at me. What about the person you like if we go public about our secret marriage? What person do I like? I was momentarily unable to follow his thought process. The person you once liked, do you still like him now? It took me a while to react, and then I recalled what he was referring to. It was the early morning of the day after something unexpected happened between us. At that time, we had just finished filming Drunken Spring Breeze. Although we weren't exactly strangers, we certainly weren't intimate enough to be sharing a bed. Jason was lying naked under the quilt, with red marks clearly visible on his Adam's apple and collarbones. He said shyly, "I'll take responsibility." At that moment, I was turning my back to him, fastening my bathrobe, and upon hearing his words, I paused. "There's no need," I said. He modestly asked again, "Then you should take responsibility for me." Last night was my first time, although it was accidental. My mind was in a mess and I really didn't know how to deal with the situation, especially when Jason continued to demand that I take responsibility. I had no choice but to make up a lie. I really can't take responsibility. I already have someone I like and I still want to be with him. If I take responsibility for you, I'll completely lose hope with him. I turned to face him. Or if you want some other form of compensation, I can. Jason's complexion was no longer as vibrant and shy as before. He just smiled calmly and said, "That's not necessary." After that conversation, we had no further contact. I never thought that the little lie I casually told years ago would need to be addressed now. Jason kindly offered, "If you need, I can explain to him about our pretend marriage." "No need," I replied. "I don't like him anymore." He was taken aback. His mouth twitched slightly, and he nodded, saying, all right." Jason stuck around until Liam fell asleep. Strangely, once Jason left, Liam woke up, insisting on kisses, hugs, and food. I had no choice but to continue soothing him. After feeding, bathing, and getting him to sleep, I collapsed onto the bed next to me, too exhausted to even move my fingers. I was worn out. Taking care of a child is even more tiring than pulling an all-nighter for a shoot. I was debating whether or not to hire a new nanny when Stella called me. "Do you believe that Jason actually likes you?" I replied feebly. "What on earth are you talking about?" "It's true," Stella said excitedly. "Didn't you watch his recent live stream? He took full responsibility for the secret marriage and childbearing affair to prevent netizens from criticizing you. And that's not all. He's also offered to introduce us to some potential movie resources, and even directly connected me with the director, Michael Jackson. In fact," my agent continued, "it seems he's been going to great lengths. If not out of fondness for you, then why would he have done all this?" I defended. "Well, I guess he must just be happy to be a father now." "But if he's happy being a dad, then why is he so nice to you?" Exhaling a sigh, I asked, "Is this what you called me for?" Stella, chuckling, replied, "Why do you sound so tired?" "I'm just exhausted from taking care of Liam." She then started nagging, "See, I told you it would be difficult to manage all this by yourself. After your previous nanny left, why don't you hire a new one? It's not like you can't afford it. But instead, you insist on building up this mother-child bonding mutiny." Feeling slightly embarrassed at her words, I remained silent. My work had been keeping me very busy, and I had always felt a hint of guilt toward Liam. So during my spare time, I was keen on spending as much time with him as possible to enhance our mother-child relationship. The intention was indeed splendid. However, it would be best not to move forward. After all, I had been a single parent for only a few days, and already a scandal about a secret marriage and child had gone viral. Feeling weary, I rubbed my brows and said, "Find me another one. The requirements remain the same, but I need a short-term arrangement until Susan returns." "Okay," Stella replied briskly. The person she found arrived the next day. I energetically opened the door to find the dignified and refined Jason outside. He was dressed in tailored clothing, and the watch on his wrist was more expensive than my entire house. His words, however, were vastly unaligned with his appearance. He said, "I'm here for the nanny position, ... Despite the absurdity, I still let Jason in. While he was playing with Liam in the living room, I escaped to the balcony of my bedroom and dialed Stella. Without preamble, I asked, "Why is Jason here?" He's the most qualified candidate according to your requirements, Stella replied. He can cook, loves children, doesn't spread Liam's affairs. He can meet these 3 requirements and even do better than others. He's a film emperor and he's here to be my nanny? Don't you think that's a bit ridiculous? I asked. Ridiculous indeed, Stella admitted. That's why he's only doing it short term. You should cherish this opportunity. Perhaps my silence lingered for too long, so Stella added, This is a good opportunity for you two to get to know each other better. Once it's public, you two will frequently appear together as a couple, so make sure not to give the gang away. So that was the ultimate goal, I thought. Resigned to my fate, I returned to the sitting room to get to know Jason. At that time, Liam was engaged in a car racing game with Jason. It was one of those toy cars with a specific racetrack. The 2 cars were parked at the starting line. Jason handed the controller to Liam, carefully explaining the rules to him. I sat down on a nearby sofa. I noticed that ever since I showed up, Jason seemed somewhat distracted. I was initially puzzled by what he was wrestling with, until his gaze shifted from the toy car to me. He asked, Are you going to drive me away? So that was it. I also asked, Did Stella send you here? I wanted to come, Jason replied. I was quite surprised. Jason wet his lips before saying, I want to spend more time with Liam. At this moment, Liam shouted, Begin! Controlling his toy car to zoom off. Yet Jason's car remained in place. While Liam complained, Dad, why are you so clumsy? He assisted him with the toy car controls. Watching Jason's clumsy and embarrassed demeanor stirred a flurry of emotions within me. When had the influential and dominating actor of the entertainment industry ever faced a situation like this? Humility, timidity, all to please Liam. Suddenly, I felt that he had it tough too and decided to indulge him. Jason played with Liam all morning. When it was mealtime, he conscientiously went to the kitchen to cook. Worth mentioning is Jason's excellent cooking skills. Liam, typically picky, who would now even relish the vegetables he usually disliked. The afternoon nap and hobby enlightenment time were also handled by Jason. All I needed to do was accompany Liam when I felt like it, while Jason would resolve everything else. Having plenty of free time, I nestled in my study, penning character sketches for my scripts. It was a long-overdue task. I had been unable to find the right mood, but today an idea suddenly hit me. Halfway through writing, I found myself suddenly thirsty. Holding an empty cup, I stepped out to get some water, only to realize that Jason and Liam were not in the living room as expected. The noise came from the bathroom. Glancing at the time, it was Liam's bath time. His baths were always chaotic, and I worried that Jason might not be able to handle him alone. Half worried, half curious, I pushed open the half-closed door. What appeared before my eyes made my heart skip a beat. Liam was indeed bathing, but Jason helping with the bath was completely drenched. His wet white shirt clung tightly to his body, outlining every splendid line of his chest, abdomen, and arm muscles. My gaze froze on the red mole on his chest. Even though a white shirt was in between, that mole seemed to glow redder, startlingly conspicuous. Jason saw me and stood up in surprise. He was holding a yellow plastic duck in his hand, a bathroom toy. I shouldn't overthink it. Perhaps the hormones in this bathroom were overpowering, causing the phrase, wet body temptation, to unconsciously flash across my mind. Jason wiped the water droplets off his face and said with a slight grievance, I'm having difficulty dealing with him. I suddenly laughed. I asked him, Did you bring some clothes? I did. Then you should also take a bath and change into some clean clothes. I'll handle things here. After I finished giving instructions, I rolled up my sleeves. I'll take care of this. When he was about to leave and I was about to enter, soaking wet, Jason approached me. You want me to stay, right? The distance was simply too close. Fearful of seeing something I shouldn't, I subconsciously lowered my head. My gaze naturally landed on his waist. That's when I saw his pants were also soaked through. His black trousers, in comparison to his white shirt, did no less in highlighting his contours. As if scalded, I quickly averted my gaze. In a fluster, I blurted out, Stay then. Liam still sleeps with me at night, while Jason stays in the guest room next door. Perhaps it's because Jason is living so close now. But tonight, Liam, who would usually be drowsy by now, is still wide awake, even after hearing his third bedtime story. I have no choice but to resort to turning off the lights. "Time to sleep," I say firmly. He quickly grabs my hand and asks, "Mom, why doesn't Dad sleep with us?" I sigh. I knew it. He isn't sleeping because his little mind is filled with messy, curious thoughts. "Why should we all sleep together?" I counter gently. He retorts confidently, "The little kitty in the cartoons, her mom and dad sleep together." "Little kitty in the cartoons isn't a picky eater, is she?" I reply, raising an eyebrow. Liam huffs loudly, pouting as he declares, "I want to sleep with Dad." "All right," I respond nonchalantly, turning over on the bed. I feel no guilt about burdening Jason now. After all, he seems to quite enjoy Liam's occasional childish antics. Liam, clutching his little pillow and blanket, is ready to stand up. A moment later, he tugs me down and kisses my cheek. "Mom, I'm just going to see Dad, but I'll come back to find you later. Wait for me." I watch helplessly as he toddles off. To make Liam's movements easier, I've left the doors to both the master and guest bedrooms open. From my bed, I can distinctly hear laughter coming from the adjacent room. A thought unexpectedly flashes across my mind. Jason is quite good at taking care of kids. Is it because they're blood-related? It feels as though they've grown close so quickly, even though they were strangers not too long ago. Suddenly, Liam's voice rings out from next door. "Mom! Mom!" Thinking something has happened, I hastily shuffle into the guest room in my slippers. Liam, sitting beside Jason like a little meatball, lifts the hem of his shirt to reveal his rounded belly. "Mom, look! My tummy is different from Dad's." He then turns his expectant gaze to Jason, motioning for him to do the same. Jason hesitates, lifting his shirt halfway before quickly dropping it, his face flushing red with embarrassment. His eyes meet mine, pleading silently for rescue. For some reason, this situation reminds me of a certain moment, that chaotic morning. He had shyly curled himself in the quilt, insisting earnestly that he would take responsibility for me. Unable to stand Jason's coy attitude, Liam takes matters into his own hands, lifting Jason's shirt fully. Then he turns to me and announces, "Mom, do you see the difference?" I think to myself, what a wonderful boy I have. My followers often lament their yearning to see his abs, and here I am, getting a full view, rather effortlessly. Jason looks like a pitiful wife being bullied by a thug, squirming in discomfort as he tries to reason with Liam. "Are we done yet?" Ignoring Jason's protests, Liam focuses solely on me. "Mom, do you see it? There's a mole on Dad's body, too." I can sense Jason's sanity hanging by a thread at this point. Quickly, I approach and take Liam into my arms. However, my hands inadvertently press into Jason's muscular abs before I fully realize it. The tip of my index finger grazes the bright red mole. Jason lets out a subtle, faint gasp, sending a tingling sensation down my fingertips. I pull away instantly, my face flushing as I struggle to regain composure. Liam seems to lose interest, and ignoring everyone else, I walk away in a flustered hurry. Soon after, Liam returns to my room voluntarily. Feigning sleep, I ignore him, but he grabs my hand and places it on his stomach. "Mom, Dad says I have abs too." The fluffy feeling under my fingertips makes me sigh inwardly. Jason is truly willing to say anything to coax a child. Not wanting to lose in this aspect, I respond, even a single ab counts as abs." Liam hugs me contentedly and quickly falls asleep. Perhaps the day's events were too overwhelming, as I dreamt about that night again. That night was truly an accident. At the party, I somehow drank spiked liquor. The moment I realized it, I put the glass down and quickly left the scene. I had the distinct feeling someone was chasing me. I slipped into a half-closed guest room, only to find Jason inside, also affected by the spiked drink. Despite the circumstances, we both made an effort to keep our distance. He hid in the bathroom, dousing himself with cold water while I leaned against the balcony, trying to sober up with the cold wind. But the drug's effects were relentless. My thoughts wandered, and I found myself thinking that Jason wasn't so bad, certainly better than anyone I had encountered at the party. I knocked on the bathroom door. That door never closed again. In a haze of confusion, one thing led to another. Barely coherent, I remembered Jason seemed even more out of control than I was that night. With a start, I opened my eyes to find it was already 10 in the morning. Shaking off the remnants of the vivid dream, I got out of bed to freshen up. My mind was still reeling. How would I face Jason after such a dream? I braced myself, opened the door, and found a tug-of-war scene unfolding in the foyer. Liam was nestled in Adrian's arms, giggling as Adrian playfully bounced him around. Jason, wearing a small floral apron, stood nearby, his arms outstretched in a vain attempt to retrieve Liam, who was completely captivated by Adrian. "You're back from your business trip?" I asked. "Yes," Adrian replied. "I brought some local specialties for you and Liam." Liam beamed and called out eagerly, "Uncle Adrian!" Jason shuffled behind me, looking defeated. I glanced at him and couldn't help but laugh. Did this man have no sense of dignity? Adrian, still holding Liam, sat on the couch and finally turned to Jason. "Is this Liam's biological father?" I nodded. Adrian sighed. "Seems like I'm not needed here." "If I'd known, I wouldn't have rushed back," he said. "I heard Susan was on leave and thought you might need help. That's why I hurried back." "Then have lunch with us," I suggested bluntly. "Do I have to cook?" he asked. "When have you ever cooked in my house?" I retorted. He grinned. "Didn't I help Susan beat some eggs once?" I shot him a look, unimpressed. From the corner of my eye, I noticed Jason looking increasingly despondent. It seemed like he was about to break. Adrian stayed until after lunch before leaving. In the meantime, Liam was completely engrossed in Adrian's antics, seemingly forgetting who his real father was. Seeing Jason's downcast expression, I gestured to Liam, hinting he should cheer his father up. Always sweet with his words, Liam hugged Jason tightly and declared, "Daddy, I still like you best." Jason managed a small smile, but it was tinged with sadness, a sadness that always seemed to linger in him. Despite this, he spent the entire afternoon playing with Liam. I stayed by their side, unexpectedly noticing how patient Jason was. Time and again, when Liam became stubborn, I wanted to intervene and scold him. But Jason would patiently coax him, gently persuading Liam until he calmed down. It was an ideal example of parenting. Just as I was considering asking Jason to stay a few more days, a message from Susan appeared at the top of my phone screen. "Miss Ella, I've sorted everything out at home. I'll arrive by train tomorrow. Hang in there." I paused, feeling a strange pang of melancholy. I had looked forward to Susan's return for so long, yet now I wasn't excited. If Susan came back, would that mean Jason had to leave? That evening, after dinner, Jason and Liam watched cartoons together. It was a warm, heartwarming scene. Tentatively, I asked, "You don't have much work lately, do you?" Jason immediately caught on. "Are you getting tired of me?" Before I could respond, Liam clung to Jason, crying, "I don't want Daddy to leave. I don't want Daddy to leave." I fell silent. The conversation resumed only after Liam fell asleep. On the balcony, Jason and I each sat, gazing at the summer night skyline. Jason was the first to break the silence. "Is it because of him?" "What are you talking about?" "That Adrian," he said, turning to look at me, his face filled with distress. "Is he the one you like? Is that why you want me to leave?" "What?" I was stunned. "What are you talking about?" Jason's expression turned desolate. "So, it's not him, but Susan's return that makes me useless." I couldn't bear to see him like this. "There's no plan to drive you away," I reassured him. "It's just, isn't it inappropriate for you to keep living here?" "Then why can Adrian stay?" he asked. "He's never lived here before," I exclaimed in surprise. "But he said he had." Don't listen to his nonsense, I muttered, making a mental note to scold Adrian later. He's Leon's doctor and lives nearby, who drops by occasionally but has never stayed over. So, I'm the only one who stayed over? And Susan, I added. Jason nodded and fell silent. Choosing my words carefully, I spake with a tone I hoped wouldn't hurt him. You care about Liam a lot. In the future, if you miss him, you can visit any time. I won't stop you. It's not like we won't stay in touch. There will be plenty of opportunities. The late summer wind was gentle, carrying a sense of openness. Jason suddenly confessed. It's not Liam I care about. It's you. I stared at him in astonishment, wondering if I had misheard. He smiled faintly. It's been a long time. Since before that night. When I saw you walk in, I panicked. I didn't even dare to look at you. I hid in the bathroom, not because I couldn't control myself, but because I was afraid of catching you off guard. I guess I caught you off guard anyway. But what I didn't expect was that you already had someone you liked. You just want to be with him. I was speechless, unsure how to respond. Jason continued, his voice soft. I like Liam, not because he's my child, but because he's your child. I like him because I like you. I like you, he said. His confession left me utterly stunned, unable to move or speak. This wasn't my first time receiving a confession, but it was the first time I had no idea how to respond. Should I accept it or reject it? My mind was blank. In my confusion, I blurted, Your sudden confession, it's left me completely flustered. I didn't mean to disturb you, Jason said with a smile. I just wanted you to know that I like you. No matter what happens, no matter the circumstances, I like you. Just because you are you. That's why I like you. Jason continued to sleep in the guest room, while I tossed and turned in the master bedroom. My mind was filled with memories from the past. After the incident, I lost contact with him. When I found out I was pregnant, Jason was at the peak of his booming career in data. I didn't want to disturb him during such a crucial time, so I focused on my pregnancy instead. Being pregnant and giving birth over the course of a year pushed me, already on the fringes of the entertainment industry, further into obscurity. After returning to the industry, I searched everywhere for opportunities, but I faced constant obstacles. The script for The Abandoned Empress was thrown to me like an olive branch. I was cast as the third female lead, a resentful yet outgoing little princess. Thanks to this role, I was finally recognized by the audience and managed to scrape by in the entertainment world. At the time, I felt it was a dream come true, but now looking back, there might have been more to it. I called Stella. For the third female lead in The Abandoned Empress, was I recommended by Mr. Koch? Yes, my agent replied, sounding puzzled. Why are you asking all of a sudden? Can you ask him why? Are you trying to cause trouble this late at night? Stella grumbled, but still went to it answers for me. The response didn't surprise me. Mr. Koch said Jason had recommended me. I recalled several other inexplicably good allocations of resources and confirmed them one by one with Stella. None of the results were surprising. Jason had been helping me from behind the scenes all along. Stella, now fully awake and annoyed, emphasized, I've been telling you this whole time, he likes you. I know now. But what does this mean? Stella sounded exasperated. If he likes you, why not just go for it instead of doing all these good deeds anonymously? I had an idea of why. At the time, Jason believed I liked someone else, and he didn't want me to know it was him helping. As I tried explaining Jason's actions, Stella teased, Honestly, you like him too, don't you? Otherwise, why would you decide to have his child? I pressed my lips together, unsure how to explain. The reason for having Liam was simple. I lost my parents long ago and had been lonely for far too long. When I found out a new life was growing inside me, my first instinct was to give birth to him. I wanted a family. Looking back, it was the best decision I ever made. Liam isn't particularly bright and can be a little dull at times, but when he calls me Mom, his affection warms me in a way nothing else ever has. As for why I named him Liam, even I've forgotten the reason. I stayed up very late that night. By the time I woke up, Jason had already left. The living room was spotless, the air fresh and moist, breakfast delicious, and even Liam was dressed neatly. But Jason was gone. I couldn't help laughing to myself. What was he trying to do, play Cinderella? The next time I saw Jason was 5 days later. We were scheduled for a live interview to coincide with the finale replay of Drunken Spring Breeze. The event required us to watch the show in real time, interact with the audience, and answer the host's questions. The live content itself wasn't particularly interesting, but since we had announced our marriage midway through the show, it was the first time we'd appear in public as a couple. The number of viewers in the live broadcast room broke records even before we started. Amid the crowd's noise, I approached Jason, who was meticulously reviewing the script. "Long time no see," I said softly. He closed the script and sighed. "Not that long." Checking his watch, he added, "Only 117 hours, 46 minutes, and 5 seconds. I laughed. "If you missed me that much, why didn't you contact me?" "I was afraid of being rejected," he admitted. "Afraid you'd tell me, 'I'm sorry, but I still like him.'" Knowing the live broadcast was about to begin, I decided to give him a little sweet talk. I whispered, "I don't have someone I like. I lied to you before." His shocked expression was the last thing I saw before the cameras started rolling. Countless comments immediately flooded the screen. "Oh my God, this day has finally come. Such a great couple. I can't stop smiling knowing they've been married for years. Press 1 if you rewatched Spring Breeze drunk after the announcement. 11111. The host smiled. "Since the Drunken Spring Breeze rerun aired, it's been trending everywhere. How do you both feel about this?" Jason answered first. "I'm quite happy." I added, "Thank you for all your support. It's a defining work, wouldn't you agree?" I felt embarrassed. That wasn't part of the script. The comments went wild. "Love this, exactly what we want. Dig deeper, host. Get all the juicy details about their relationship." Eventually, the conversation returned to safer ground. The host asked, "During filming, what was your first impression of each other?" Jason replied first, "She sleeps a lot." The host raised an eyebrow. "She could fall asleep during makeup, leaning on a pillar, even while eating. She really loves to sleep. Jason does nothing but watch his wife all day. Sleeping in my house, on my bed, in my arms. She truly loves to sleep. If you don't understand why, just ask. Obviously, because hehehe." I quickly adjusted my answer, unwilling to let the conversation derail. "Mr. Smith has a remarkable talent for acting." The host raised an eyebrow. "Oh?" "On the day we filmed the finale, he also shot the first episode. The contrast in emotions was staggering, and he handled both brilliantly. I knew then he'd become a star." "So, did you decide to hold on to such a promising stock while you could?" The comments exploded with laughter. The host moved on. "What made you decide to get married? Was it love at first sight?" Jason and I both fell silent. After a pause, he spoke. "Before I met her, I never considered marriage." He glanced at me and continued. "But after meeting her, I couldn't consider anyone else." Warmth bloomed in my chest. I suddenly wanted to stop the interview and confess my feelings to him. The final question came. "If you could go back in time, what's one thing you'd do differently?" Jason answered without hesitation. "I'd pursue her sooner, no matter who she liked." I smiled. I'd agreed to date him earlier. The interview ended amidst cheers and excited comments. Back in the dressing room, Jason and I found ourselves in a quiet corner, sharing a lingering kiss. In that moment, I realized Jason wasn't an innocent little rabbit. He was a sly, cunning wolf. As we broke apart, Jason whispered in my ear, "Will you take responsibility for me this time?" "Of course," I replied. "Then, I want a reward." He began planting kisses on my face, leaving my heart fluttering. Just as things heated up, my phone rang. On the other end, Liam's voice chimed. "Mama, when are you coming home?" "Soon," I assured him. "And Daddy? Is Daddy coming home too?" he asked pointedly. "You promised to bring him home today." I raised an eyebrow at Jason, who looked like he was about to cry. He obediently answered, "I'm coming home now. Wait for me." The call ended, and Jason turned to me with wide eyes. "Baby, are you really taking me home?" Sighing, I held his hand. "Let's go." Together, we hurried home. The end.